Okay.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the 411 with Jameson.
Hi, Jameson.
Hey, Melissa. I've got Malissa Skrastins with me today, and you have been a longtime friend. We have known each other for a really long time.
If I think about it, okay, so you'll have to help me with the math.
Okay.
You would have been working at Eckerd Drug.
Yes.
And you were driving yourself.
Yep,
so
I was
you would have
16.
had your license. So give me the year.
1994.
Oh, shit. That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
1994.
95, yeah.
That would have been the year that would have been within my first year of cosmetology. I had graduated school.
Okay.
I had lived in Duncan for a while, and then I moved up to the city. And I was there for about a year, and I was working at a Fantastic Sam's.
Fantastic Sam's,
at
right?
15th and Bryant.
At 2nd and Bryant.
2nd Bryant.
2nd Bryant, yeah, in Bryant Square. Mm-hmm. In Bryant Square.
Bryant Square.
So, because I worked at that Eckerd that was right there in Bryant Square, right across the parking lot. And the crazy thing is I had went to you, I don't remember how many times, and got my hair cut. And then my mom, I was talking to my mom about, getting and she's like, well, you need to use my person, because she went there. I was like, well, you need to use my person. I'm not changing. I found you and liked you, and I don't remember how
I think that went on for a year.
I don't know how long it went, but it was a while until we had realized that our person was the same person. So she was also utilizing you. And gosh, I don't remember how long. I mean, I was with Eckerd for 6 years, because that was my first. It wasn't my first real job. It was my first real job that wasn't for a family member. Because I worked for my uncle doing HVAC before that. He took pity on me and hired me at 14 so I could save money for a car when I turned 16. But so I worked there for 6 years and used you all during that time, from the time that you were, during that time you had moved. You weren't at Fantastic Sam's that entire time.
No.
I'm trying to remember. I think from there we followed you to J.C. Penney.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you also had picked up, like, Jennifer Hankins was using you,
which was the pharmacist at Eckerd at the time, right? She was the pharmacist, and then I had picked up her girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then I had picked up some other kids at Eckerd, and then I had picked up Laura.
Yeah.
Your beautiful wife.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, you picked up Sherry, I think.
Sherry.
Weren't you doing Sherry?
Sherry, your
my
cousin.
Aunt?
Your
no,
aunt.
she's my aunt.
Your
Yeah.
aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I even think I saw a couple of your brothers maybe a time.
I think you saw my youngest brother. I know you did. My
Yeah.
youngest brother, Bobby. He's about 7 years younger than I am. 7, 8 years younger.
You know what I was just talking about to a friend the other day? I was talking about, do you remember the Schlotzskys?
Yes.
Do you know that we ate we ate for free at Schlotzsky's?
Okay.
Because we worked out a deal, and I don't even know if our manager knew this, so if she's listening, sorry. This would have been forever ago, but we would wait until after hours, and we would cut the kids' hair for free, and they would give us free Schlotzsky sandwiches. And so we ate for free as little hairdressers that were hustling, making commission, probably 30% commission, and then working on tips. That was a blessing. But and to this day, I still like a Schlotzsky's. It's not like I ever got really tired of them.
Really? The only thing I liked at Schlotzsky's was I would get a pizza. They would put, mozzarella cheese and some pepperoni, and I would eat that. But like their sandwiches, I never was. I don't know. I think it was the sourdough bread. I don't know. It was just I always felt like Schlotzsky's had I always got it to go. I didn't like to eat there.
Oh, nobody's really a fan. I don't know many Schlotzsky's fans. Everyone I talk to despises it for some reason or another. They had that spongy bread, and I was kind of a fan of it. Maybe it's because it fed me through all those years. It kept through the lean years. It fed me, so I had a heart for them.
Right. Yeah, but no, I do remember that Schlotzsky's because we would eat there too. But I always got the pizza and get it to go. But yeah, so then we followed you to J.C. Penney, and you worked there, you managed that salon.
Yeah,
for a
so
while.
I am a little bit about how I got to Oklahoma. I was born and raised in California. The same year I graduated high school, my parents retired.
Okay.
And they initially retired up in Washington State. And so I just followed him up there, went with them after high school, spent about a year going to I went to a junior college for a while, and I was going to do the regular university thing. My parents split up. One of them came to Oklahoma because that's where she was from.
Okay.
And so that's where my mother's side was from, Oklahoma.
Okay. And that was Duncan.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the whole Dust Bowl story.
Okay.
My mom's story is the whole Dust Bowl story. I mean, she was the baby of 7, and back in she was born in 1929.
Okay.
So it would have been 1936. As a baby of 9, they all moved out west because their farm dried up in Duncan.
Yeah.
Nothing, no more work. So they all went out west, and that's how my mother was raised in California. So that's where I was born.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And so after my parents, they got back together, and they came here to Oklahoma.
Okay.
I was left in Washington State, and I was like, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do?
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to college anymore. And so I thought, I love the arts, I love the big city, because I had grown up going to San Francisco and all that. So I loved a big city. So I moved to New York for a year.
I don't think I knew that.
This is the time that you and I this would have been before we met.
Yeah.
We just never talked about it. Yep.
Yeah.
I went to New York for a year. I got a copy of the New York Times, and I had done a lot of babysitting, so I got a job as a nanny.
Okay.
For a family on Long Island. And I hated it. I got the job immediately. They flew me out. I worked for them from 7 a.m. until about 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. I would take care of the 2 boys. I got them to school. Mom was working on Wall Street. Dad wasn't they were a divorced family. So I was working for the mom. I did that for a year. And every weekend I would go into the city. And then I would go see plays. I tried to audition for commercials. I thought I would do the acting thing to try to hustle down there. Tried to take some bartending courses. Then I met some other girlfriends that were nannies, and we all quit our nanny job and got an apartment together. And that lasted for about another 3 months when I had to call home every month to get money.
Okay.
And so they said, look, you got to make a decision that you haven't been there long enough for that city to break you down.
So you took some bartending classes. How come you didn't get into...
You know why?
What?
Because the bar was up here and the mixing was down here. So one of the tests is that you'd have to mix, right?
Okay,
and if you put the bottle up on top of the bar, you got docked a point for that because it was easy access for the customers.
Okay.
That was the whole thing. And I got this was back in 92.
Okay.
So that's when they could do this kind of stuff. They were like 5 points, you were docked and you were out.
Damn.
I think I lasted a week.
Okay.
Yep.
You know, I went to bartending school here in Oklahoma City. I took I don't remember if it was a 2-week class. I think it was a 2-week class. I don't know. Mixology, whatever you want to call it. I got my license, but I never bartended anywhere. I got it while I was working. So I had was working for Six Flags, and crazy shit happened
here,
there.
So Frontier City was part of that.
Yeah, so at that time, Frontier City and Whitewater Bay were both owned by, even Six Flags was actually at that time owned by Premier Parks. So Premier Parks was the parent company, and their headquarters was in Oklahoma City, right there on I-35. That's where Six Flags headquarters was. And so I was the HR manager for Frontier City and Whitewater Bay. Anyway, things went left there. That was the funnest summer job as an adult I ever had in my life. I mean, I worked there for 4 months and then ended up with more severance pay than I think I worked there because with what went down. But anyway.
Sometimes I dream of jobs that I could work for like a weekend, and then just quit and just to experience it. And working in a park like that has always been one of them.
Yeah.
In some aspect.
I don't know. I mean, had that not happened, I probably wouldn't have stayed there a long time, just because it was working with kids, and the kids weren't so bad as much as it was the kids' parents. Parents are terrible. They just, and I say parents are terrible, they just a lot of times don't communicate with their own kids. Or when they do communicate with their own kids, they tend to believe their kids. Your kid was stealing. No, he's not. No, he's not. Well, did you ask him? Because he took all the money out of his shoe. You know what I mean? He was stealing. But anyway, so I did go to bartending school, and I thought, oh, this might be fun. I thought it would be a cool gig to do, like on a, whether it be a part-time or I wasn't really thinking about it as a professional gig at the time. I was thinking more like part-time. I thought it'd be always cool to work in like a hotel bar, just people coming and going and just meeting people and learning people's stories and what have you. But I never did it. Got my license and ended up going to work for an oil and gas company right after that. And so I never needed to. I never had a need to do it. So that's interesting that we both did a little stint at bartending.
But look at where we are now.
Yeah.
We are both in businesses where we meet multiple personalities every day.
Yeah.
We hear stories that a lot of times we want to forget, and a lot of times we can't forget.
Right.
And sometimes the information that's dropped into our laps blows our minds.
Yeah.
And we're both in industries that we had that. We would have had it the same way as a bartender.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So,
that's true.
I mean,
yeah,
you
for
can't
sure.
lead, sometimes things work out like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because of all the stuff that you hear, and I mean, just from me and other clients, and that's one of the things I've thought, you and I have talked about, you need to do your own podcast. It would be so cool to just sit there and listen to you talking with the person that's in the chair. I forget, I'm trying to remember what I said you should call it. Chat in the chair, I think.
Should we mention it just in case we do it one of these days?
Yeah.
I think we were going to call, I think some of the names we threw around chair chats.
Yes, yeah.
Chair chat. I mean, let me give you an example of the secrets. These are, I mean, we have, after I left New York, after I could not afford myself in New York City, I ended up going to Duncan, Oklahoma, where I laid on the couch for 3 months because I had grown up, and I guess I thought I would never end up somewhere like Oklahoma. Oklahoma was a story to me that my mother told me about my grandparents.
Okay.
And so coming here, with all of that said, took me a good year to assimilate that I was going to be here. But now that I'm here, both my parents have passed. I have no blood family living in Oklahoma anymore, and I am grounded. I am grounded in this state. This state is great, and it has saved my life.
Yeah.
And I've met the best people through it. And I own a business now, so
Yes.
I do have ties, and I do have family that is friends that are like family. But there is something about Oklahoma that's really, really special. And when I have had friends in from different parts of the country, they leave Oklahoma impressed. And I'm so happy for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a little side note.
Yeah, no. And so the name of your business is?
Willow Company Salon.
Okay.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We could be under MK Willow, which stands for Melissa and Kasie. Kasie Peak is my business partner.
Okay.
And we have a long story too. We worked for a salon here in town that is still existing. It's called Eden.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you were when I came back to you after our hiatus for a little while.
My first job out of beauty school was in Lawton, Oklahoma at a Regis at the mall. That lasted all of 3 months. And Lawton is a transitory town. I mean, it's a military,
right.
So there were a lot of people in and out. And I just knew that I wanted to come to the city. So that didn't last long. I came right to the city, ended up at Fantastic Sam's, went over to JCPenney, and became the manager of the salon. Worked my way up, became the manager of the salon. And then I got recruited over at Ulta.
Yes.
When Ulta opened up.
Yep, and I followed you to Ulta.
Yes.
I remember that.
So Ulta came and recruited, and that was when they were first opening. And they were opening these salons inside. Yeah. And I got all sorts of opinions about that. And us hairdresser, cosmetologists, and barbers will understand too. I mean, they really put salons in those corporate cosmetic stores so they can sell professional products.
Okay.
They have to be licensed to sell certain products. And one way to do that is to stick a salon in the back and put a bunch of hairdressers back there so they could do it. And for me, it wasn't a really good environment to help grow a stylist. They were just, in my opinion, had us there for representation so they could sell the professional products.
Gotcha.
So that didn't last too long either. Then I went to Eden. And that's where I really grew as a stylist with the love and support of the owners and the team that were there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went and did that, went to Eden, and I was at Eden for 18 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's where I stuck.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you were at Eden because when you left Ulta, I didn't follow you immediately to Eden.
Correct. There was time gap.
There was a time gap, and now I'm trying to remember what year it was that I found you again, or I think it was was it social media?
I think it was social media because I had, it was right around when, it must have been when Facebook came around. I feel like we probably lost contact with each other the time between when we were all getting into our careers and then when Facebook came around. And God, I don't know what day that was.
Yeah, I don't
years.
Either.
That's why I had to have you do the math about high school. But I think I found you on Facebook and we had a mutual friend and I was just like, oh my gosh. And so there he is. And then you came and saw me at Eden a few times out on 122nd and MacArthur.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was just a couple of times. And then, like I said, I worked up there for 18 years. And I worked with another stylist named Kasie. And she and I always kind of had each other in our pockets. We were each other's confidants when we'd be mad at work or like, oh my God, this career is so getting to me, or we think we wanted to throw in the towel. She and I, one thing we've always had in common is that we have always had to be independent for ourselves. For whatever reasons, we didn't have I lost my parents very young.
Okay.
I mean, I was raised, I lost my parents by the time I was 30, both my parents were gone. And so, and then, Kasie has a family, but she and I have had to just create our lives. And we've worked really, really hard to do it. Everything from saving money, purchasing the business. We've since moved. We've relocated to a larger location.
Yeah, because you were at the Eden there on Western. You were on Western for a while.
We bought the Eden Salon and Spa, had 2 locations. And at one time they had 3.
Okay.
And there was the original location, which is so special to everybody, had been there for 40, 50 years under different names owned by the same family.
Okay.
And so we purchased that location, and then we changed the name to Willow Company. We worked with the same staff, and we have continued to grow now. And we've just celebrated our 6-year anniversary.
Oh, that's so cool.
And 2 years ago, we moved to 50th and Shartel.
Yes.
Right next door to Shartel Cafe, a local favorite that has been there for a long, long time. And we just couldn't be happier. We're able to offer more services now. And so we've really, really grown our services.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're right over there. I used to use a guy out of that Tom James, which is like in that same... I think
they're next door neighbors.
Next door on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Clothier. So.
Yeah, they make custom-made suits for men and women and do some tailoring and all that.
Mm-hmm. So that's a good location for you. That's still right there.
Yeah. We've been happy. I mean, we've been happy. It's a cute little location. It's really visible. I mean, one thing I remember, I've had the opportunity when we were working for the family that we bought the salon from. We have always worked closely with them in all of our careers, and they've taken us along to education about business and about not just doing hair, the latest haircut or the latest color. It was about come with us when we go to this budget meeting. Come with us. They always had full transparency about their business. And it's something that we do now. And one thing, I lost my train of thought.
No, you're fine. Just talking about the business, the meetings and talking about.
Yeah, I'll come back to it.
That's all right.
But they've always taken us so... One thing that they taught us is that location.
Yeah.
You know that as a realtor. The location. And so we got a really visible area that I think really helped. And so we've had a lot more walk-ins, call-ins. We're also really lucky to be next to a really busy post office and a drugstore. Yeah. I mean, so we get a lot and we're right behind Bishop McGinnis High School.
Right.
So go Bishop McGinnis High School. We love them and, hope to do a lot of things with them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So one of the things that, you've cut my hair for years and then you let me, you reciprocated and did some business with me and I sold you a house.
You did.
And I remember that was a very stressful
James,
time for you. Like you
Yes. You were in my life for a reason. I mean, you really... I knew you were in real estate, and I was renting a house in the village.
Yeah.
I went from an apartment when I was young, in apartments, college apartments, young adult into apartments. Finally, when I was in my early 40s, I'm like, I'm going to see what it's like to have a house. I was so scared to buy. So I rented a house in the village. Did that for 7 years, learned that I couldn't mean. And this was all by myself. I've always been a career girl. I'm currently single, never been married, looking. Never been married, single. So I'm like, well, let me see if I can maintain a house in the yard and everything. Might as well, or I'm going to just sit here. What are my choices in an apartment? Which is fine, but I was also scared to do the bills on my own.
Right.
So I rented a house, figured out that would be great, and loved it. Wanted to buy that house. They weren't ready to sell it yet. They were still using it as an investment. And so I contacted you and said, man, I think I want to move. Interest rates were really low.
Yeah, interest rates were good.
I can't move. I mean, I bought that house at the right time, and now we can't ever move, and I'm so lucky to have it. And I'm just going to, I just decided that I'm going to stay where I am, and I'm just going to trick my house out.
Well, I saw you did a post that you had just redone one of your bedrooms as a closet. But when you bought that house, you had talked about possibly doing that.
Really?
Like
I mentioned it to you?
You're like, I could turn this into, my walk-in closet room.
Yeah.
And,
you sold me. I had a list of things I was looking for, and James, you nailed it. But what you said to me, you said I wanted to live in the village. I wanted to live in the village so bad, but at that time, the village houses were starting to rise up a little bit, right? And now it's one of the hottest places people still want to live.
Yeah, it is. It's a good market.
It's a great market. And so you said, let's expand your search. A quarter mile.
Yeah.
And we did, and my paradise was found.
Yeah.
Everything down I wanted a northwest facing house. I wanted a fenced in backyard. I wanted no carpet. I mean, everything down to 3-bedroom, 2-bath, all wood floors. I mean, you did. And then you got me into that house. You held my hand all the way through it. The crazy questions I would ask you, I would call you, I would text you. What I did not know about myself is that was piquing my anxiety.
Yeah.
We had COVID breathing down our necks.
Uh-huh.
We had heard of COVID. You probably had it when you came back from China. Do you remember?
I do remember, and I was sick.
China?
I was sick for like 4 weeks. And then, of course, they didn't have any tests for it then. And then they came out with the test later that summer. I think it was in June. And I took the antibodies test, and it said I didn't have the antibodies. But I'd never been so sick for so long in all my life.
You were.
And
it changed. I mean,
And I did. I had just came back from China. Literally, I came back from China. I think I'd been home maybe 5-7 days when I got sick. I don't remember. Maybe a little bit longer than that. But
I mean, COVID was a joke. COVID was something that we were hearing about. We didn't know anyone that had it. It was something that we heard was the big black, big scary voice in our, you know what I mean? It was so scary. And so it was breathing down our neck. And here I had just bought this house. And within I think I closed in January. In March, our business was shut down.
Wow.
You had come back. You were so sick. You were one of the first people. Yeah, I'm convinced you had it. But
it was crazy. And the crazy thing is of course we were just in Hong Kong, like we weren't like deep in China or anything, but while in Hong Kong, didn't even hear of COVID. Like I hadn't heard of it yet. I was oblivious. And if the news or anything had talked about it at that time too, I'm not a big news watcher, so I didn't know. Had no idea. Mm-hmm. And then it wasn't long. I don't remember if it was, because when we left China, we went to Thailand. And I don't remember if it was still while we were on our trip that they closed China down, like you couldn't go to China in or out, or if it was right when we got back to the U.S. But it wasn't long that they had closed, no travel in or out of China. Mm-hmm. But that was so crazy. But yeah, you had bought your house right then. Yeah. And I remember, we had several haircuts where you were just telling me your anxiety was
I probably
really,
cried a few times.
You did. Like you just didn't know if you did the right thing or not.
Yeah.
And then, but you made it through that first year. It really took you that first year to finally come to peace with, holy shit.
Well, what happened was that during that time, I had about a month long of serious buyer's regret, which I think a lot of us do,
Yeah.
I tend to have it, and most of us do when we may have big purchases. And what do they say? Buying a home is up there with getting married,
all
of that stuff. And so it's big. And I mean, I could have done one of two things. Like, there were times I sat in that house and just absolutely regretted everything. And but then I just dug into my faith, and I also dug into how I was going to come out on this other side.
Yeah.
I mean, during that time, and I had also been a business owner for 2 years. We bought our business in 2018.
Right.
My business partner was going through the same thing. She was at home with a child, and here we all were. And so I know for me, I just used that time to try to figure out, okay, we're going to come out on the other end of this. And there are things I can control and can't control. So it was a major discussion with myself, and I really healed through that time.
And I think, forgive me if I'm remembering wrong, but you kind of dug into your backyard first.
Oh my God, that was it.
I mean,
Talk about physical.
You turned a very plain fence on 3 sides, house on one side, but I mean, you really used it.
I mean, it was overgrown.
Yeah.
It was so overgrown. We knew that when we bought, and I just was like, I don't know how, but what's amazing is that my next door neighbors, after they kind of knew I was working in the backyard, came around and showed a photo to me and said, we used to know the guy that lived here that did all of this landscaping. We have a picture of how it originally looked. So they sent that to me, and the more I dug, the more I saw this yard start to be exposed.
Yeah.
So I just went in with that. But during that, the shutdown, which was 6 weeks, every day I worked in that yard. Every day for at least 3 hours. And I hacked and cut down and dug and all of that. And that saved me.
Yeah.
That was so great. And you know what it did? A friend of mine said, Melissa, you have to bond with a home. And I had never known that. I had bonded with, of course, the homes I was raised in, but this was a whole new thing. And I know it's just a house, but for emotional people and people like me that all these big decisions can be scary, that yard gig made me bond with that house.
Yeah. It turned, you had some really cool projects.
And having my first clog in some of the lines in the bathroom.
I remember that too, yes.
That's what set me over the edge. I think during that first week, I had already had to call a plumber out because some of the pipes in the bathroom had just sat there for too long. I just needed a good old snake. But anyway, but you did. You sold me my home. I love it. And you've helped so many people.
Well, I appreciate that. Real estate is kind of one of those things that when we met when I was 16, I never would have told you I was going to be in real estate. Who knew, you know? It's kind of one of those things, they talk about career day when you're in school, like all the different paths that you can take. Like, I don't ever remember real estate being an option. Like, I don't remember
anybody talking about real estate.
Well, initially in school, I really thought I would go, I thought I'd want to go to law school initially. Like, and I think every kid probably goes through that little phase. Like, I think I might want to be an attorney. And then that quickly changed probably my, senior year of high school. I decided I wanted to be a news broadcaster. I wanted to give you the news.
You wanted to be an ogle?
I did. And so I went to college and I went to UCO and did that. And I had a really, Dr. Kasie, I'll never forget that man.
I was still cutting your hair then because I remember you doing that.
That was so much fun. Like, the classes were fun. Putting together the news stories were fun. Filming our own stuff, cutting our own B-roll. And all that was fun. Like that, I really enjoyed that. And then Dr. Kasie, though, pulled me aside and he said, James, I just want to let you know that you will have the toughest time making it in this industry. And it's not because of your talent, but it's because you're a white male. He goes, you are a dime a dozen. If you were an Asian female, you could be on the news tomorrow. He goes, but the news desk is looking for diversity and you're not it. So you're going to have to go to the armpits of the earth for little to no money and work yourself back up to a decent market. And that didn't scare me as much until it was time for internships and talking to the news reporters that were going to school to do it, or coming out of school and doing it locally as a news reporter, and to find out how little they made and how much they had to work. They were actually making less as a graduated student as a news reporter than I was making working for Eckerd at that time, running HR, doing the training and stuff for technicians. And I'm like, I didn't go to school to step backwards. Like, I'm not taking a cut in pay. I can't do that. And so as my senior year of college, then I switched it to from broadcasting to public relations. Mm-hmm. And I ended up with a job in HR for Target right out of college. Mm-hmm.
And you worked for them for a few years.
I worked for them for a little over 3 years.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Did you enjoy that? Man, I bet HR, that was before, that would have been before Me Too.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been before cancel culture.
This was
before
all of that, yeah. I mean, when I joined Target, Target was just starting to expand into their the Super Targets. Mm-hmm. So the Super Target at Quail Springs was just built. They were building the one in Edmond. But it was, and I spent a lot of time like doing interviews and stuff like that for Target, for hiring other management team as they continue, because I just came in early in that Super Target growth. Mm-hmm. And so I was helping the whole North Texas region. We'd go down to North Texas a lot and do these, I can't remember what they call them now, round tables or whatever, where you would do all these interviews to try to bring in new management. And I did enjoy that. I was also really good. I was brought in a lot to do terminations. Mm-hmm. That was a easy thing for me. It was. But it was an easy thing from the perspective that I never felt bad really for the person. I always felt like, well, if you're being terminated, it's for performance. Everything's been documented. You saw it coming. You know what I mean?
You've been told. You've been warned.
I mean, it's not like you just showed up today and you were fired. You're on your third write-up. You know what I mean? Like,
so they had a good.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. But I had a way, honestly, I think, to deliver that to people that they left there not mad. Like trying to get people to learn that, okay, this obviously wasn't your calling, so now's your opportunity to go find your calling. You know what I mean? Like, let's go be successful somewhere. No one likes working in a job where you're constantly being corrected and written up and under corrective action. Who wants to work like that? Go find something that you're good at. Go find a passion.
Can I tell you that I've been fired from every job I've ever had?
Really?
Yeah. I can do it all in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
When I was 16, growing up in Northern California, I got a job at a pear packing plant.
Okay.
That's all you did in my county was pack, sort, or pick pears. We were and they were Bartlett pears in Northern California, and that's what all of us kids did every summer. I got fired because I dressed up too much to work in the packing sheds. I wore all white. I wore big bangle earrings, and I had to just use my Spanish that I was learning in high school, so I couldn't stop chit-chatting with everyone. And so a lot of my girls from high school, and then a lot of the immigrants were there helping us pack right next to us. And so I got let go about a week after working there. Then I got fired on the West Coast. We had a drugstore called Payless. I got fired because I couldn't count back change.
Okay.
And so my till would always come up short. And so I got fired from that. That whole weekend I learned how to count back change. Then I went to work up in Washington at it was a radio show.
Okay.
And one day I hit the buttons when I shouldn't have. I got fired from that one. Then I came to Oklahoma and I got fired from my first salon because the owner and I got into it about something. I can't even remember what it was. It was so long ago. I got fired from Fantastic Sam's.
I don't know if I realized
I got fired from Fantastic Sam's because I was giving a cute guy a free haircut and my owner fired me. I was trying to get a date and I was giving away a free haircut and the owner fired me.
She killed your game.
She killed my game. So that led me to JCPenney,
okay.
Which I ended up losing that job for being an idiot. Just being a dumb girl. Showing up late, doing crap like that.
Yeah.
Then that led me to where I am, led me to Eden, and that's when everything happened. But dumb stuff, all of that, losing multiple jobs, it led me to where we are. I mean,
everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. So don't ever lose faith.
Right. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. I think everything happens for a reason. I mean, even in HR, I mean, that's where I started, and that's how I actually got into my oil and gas business, working for oil and gas, is because of my HR background. they were expanding and looking to hire a bunch of people because the oil and gas industry was starting to pick up. And so they wanted somebody with some HR experience. And so that's how I got that job, because I had zero oil and gas experience at that time. But I did get fired. The job I did get fired from was from Six Flags. I got fired from that job. And it wasn't anything that I did, but it's after they conducted their investigation, they realized that I was wrongfully accused, and to keep me from suing, they gave me a severance, and I signed a, whatever those things are, non-disclosure or whatever, to be able to get paid and not talk bad about them.
Yeah.
So
all the legal stuff.
But again, that was if I wouldn't have taken that job, if I wouldn't have left Target for them, and the only reason why I got that job is because I had a friend that Kelly Henthorne, who I went to college with. She had kept trying to get me to go to work at Six Flags many times, and I'm like, nah, I'm good where I'm at. And she's like, you need to come talk to my boss. Come see my boss. And then she called me one time and invited me to lunch, and it happened to be with her and her boss, Manny. And I was just pissed off at what was going on at Target, and so he offered me a job at lunch, and then I just took it.
Yep.
I just took it.
Did you ever go to college?
Yeah.
Do you have
I have a bachelor's degree. Bachelor of Arts, yeah. I graduated with a degree in journalism, public relations.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
There's a lot to be said about that. I wanted to do the 4-year thing, enough that I started and everything. And there's a part of me that wishes I had it, but my dad always said, learn a trade.
Yeah.
The trade school and things that I'm big on a trade school and about the relationships you make in life.
Yeah.
I mean, when I look back on 6 years ago when my business partner and I decided that we were going to take this jump and open up our own place, buy a location and turn it into our own. Out of the woodwork, once we started sharing what we were doing with our clientele, someone came forward and said, hey, I'm going to help you with if you need advice within this transaction between you guys, this is what I do for a living. I'd like to offer my services.
Yeah.
And then someone else came around and said, hey, I am an attorney and I can draw up a contract between you and Kasie if you'd like. That's an important part of your business.
Yeah.
So you guys have an agreement. I can offer you my services. And some of these, the gentleman that helped us broker this whole deal, I didn't even know he did that for a living.
Wow.
I'd cut his hair forever and we just talked about kids and wives and all that.
Yeah.
So our accountant is somebody that Kasie went to high school with. The realtor that, all of these relationships we make along the way. So, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah. I have a 4-year degree. My wife has a 4-year degree, but my son, he's a senior in high school this year and he's not going to college, and I couldn't be more proud of him, but he's going to VOTEC. He is learning how to weld. And
I cut his hair too.
Yeah, you do cut his hair too.
I currently cut his hair and I keep up with him and I'm so proud of him.
Yeah.
And I've told you many times that you have done so well. You and Laura have raised beautiful children. And I see it in Carson, and I see it in your daughter. I've seen her once, but I've seen it in your daughter too.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. He's just, he kind of, I feel like for a 17-year-old kid, he's got his shit together.
He does.
You know what I mean?
He does have his shit together.
And for as much as a 17-year-old kid could have.
He's dating somebody that knows how to cut hair.
Yeah, he is. Mm-hmm. He is. Elia. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't think that, especially, obviously it's true back in the early 90s, you didn't have to have a degree, and it's true now. You don't have to have a degree.
Right.
In all honesty, I guess my degree is what put me in places.
There you go.
That, where I've been. I couldn't have worked at some of those places if I didn't have a 4-year degree.
Absolutely.
But it's not necessarily that I've put that 4-year degree to work either. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? In everything that I've done. So I sure as a heck haven't put it to work in real estate per se.
Well, it gives you opportunity.
But for sure. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think it's all about, you hear the cliche, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Mm-hmm. And it's another opportunity to meet connections. Mm-hmm. Get people where you want to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, you just recently came back from a trip. I haven't really heard a whole lot about it, but you went to New York. You told me you were going.
I did.
And you were going by yourself.
Yes.
Just on your own.
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about at the salon. We just partnered with a new product line.
Okay.
And the product line is called Davines, and they are an Italian line.
Okay.
And they are manufactured in Italy.
Okay.
They are grown, cultivated. We partner with a business that is sustainable, passes all sorts of high testing. They're a certified B Corp, which has advanced testing when it comes to the whole lot of the company. But anyway, in Italy, they cultivate, test, package, everything, this product line. And their only American representation is in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And so about a year ago, we were approached to take a look at this company, something we might be interested in. And so Kasie and I went out to New York about a year ago. And it was last summer. And that was, I had been in New York a lot, and I had never really been on my own. And I'd never been to Brooklyn, and I loved it. So when we came back from our business trip, I said, I'm going to take myself out for the weekend. So I did. I booked a little spot in Brooklyn, and I said, I'm going to go with no plans. I'm going to act like I live there. So I signed up I would do what I normally do here. I would do a couple workout classes. I would get up at 7 in the morning. And so that's what I did. I woke up at 7 in the morning. I'd go work out, go get a coffee, and then decide what I wanted to do for the day. And I had the most fun.
That's so cool.
The most fun. And the only thing I had on my list, I had one thing on my list, and there was a museum I wanted to spend the whole day at. And I never even made it.
Are you serious?
Never even made it.
Oh my gosh.
I had some of the most ridiculous little cute New York moments. The weather was like it was today. I mean, blue skies, about 78 degrees, not as much wind. And the leaves were turning. I did things from walking. I took a walking tour of the Upper East Side, and it was called The Psychiatric History of New York City. And I even met a friend. There was a girl on the tour. There were about 25 of us on this tour. And it was kind of like the dark side of psychotherapy and on the Upper East Side. And so I'm like, that's off the beaten path. And so there was like 30 of us on this walking tour. And one of the girls was a rep that flies around the country. And one of her stops is Oklahoma City. And I've already had lunch with her.
Oh, that's cool.
Since I've been back.
That's cool.
Let's see. I went and saw a Broadway show. A play where I got front row ticket because I was a single.
Okay.
The night before, I got on the theater's website and I looked to see if this play that I was thinking about seeing was available. And there was a front row ticket for $100, which is, we pay that right here in the Civic Center to go see our shows. And I'm sure it's because it was the night before and I was a single.
Right.
So you can move around a little quicker. And New York City is just a great place to try everything. Like if you want to go try a Latvian crescent from Eastern Europe, there's going to be a neighborhood where you can go do that.
Okay.
And so that's what I love. And I think it's super easy to be a single person there in the sense of I don't feel weird.
Yeah.
Like sometimes going out here, I'm trying to get better with that. But I just, I don't want to miss an opportunity. I want to go have a lot of fun, but it's super comfortable to do in a big city.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, New York City, I've still never been to New York City. I've flown in and out of JFK Airport, but never left.
Well, do you like a crowd?
So I would like to go see it. I don't know if we'll see how it goes. My preferred destination is
a beach.
I
know it.
I'd just soon go where I can
You and my business partner, when you guys, it's vacation at the beach.
Yeah, swim trunks and flip flops. That's what I want.
You were ready to cash it all in and go make a life.
I still am. But I've got to wait. I've got a 17 or
that's the route.
I've got a 15-year-old daughter that I got to get raised first.
Okay, so you're gonna wait.
I gotta wait because I can't leave.
You can't take her to the island with you.
Well, they don't want to go.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's important.
They don't want to leave their friends. They don't want to leave their school. They don't want to live. And you know what? I get it. Because that's not the life for them. You can't work in Belize, Mm-hmm. So I get it. Their life is going to be here. And even my wife's like, I don't want to go there full time. I'll go there part time with you. And so it'll be a shared time. At least I still hope that it will be. Mm-hmm. That's my plan.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to spend winters in Oklahoma. I just hate.
Yeah, you hate it.
I just suffer from.
Do you have to use the special light in the winter?
I have one of those, a sun lamp.
I do.
I do have
use
one.
A special light.
And I do that, and I've got to do the sauna, and I do the tanning just to try to keep my skin. I just hate winter. I hate it so bad. But I wanted to talk about one more thing that you're doing. that I think is really neat. I'm not there yet, but you're doing this new hair thing for men and women.
Yeah.
It's not just men.
Yeah.
But where it's
let's call it what it is. It's a toupee.
Toupee. But it
I'm in
looks
the toupee
so
business.
legit real.
Willow and Company is in the toupee business.
Did I send you that meme? Somebody sent me one that said one guy's asking another, he goes, "Do you know where I can find a toupee?" And the guy says, "Not off the top of my head."
No, you didn't. But please send me all the toupee memes. Yeah. We are, James, and no, you're not. I mean, you'll know if you're ready for it. I mean, hair loss has like a huge marker right now. It is something that a lot of people are suffering with. This kind of happens.
It's our diets for one, and I think even for men. I know for me personally, and I know for a lot of guys at the gym that are also, it's TRT. I mean, I'm on testosterone replacement therapy. Makes your hair fall out.
It does.
You know?
And a lot of people don't want to hear it. Let's talk hair loss for a few minutes. A lot of people don't want to hear that there are things we're doing to ourselves that aren't helping.
Yeah.
A huge percentage of this is genetics. Okay. So there is a lot to be said for what your grandpa looks like, what your dad on your mom's side looks like. There's a lot of this. Okay. And sometimes there's links, and then just when there's a link, you see a proof that there's not. So a lot of genetics has to do with this. But there are things we're doing, like the hormones have a huge part of it, synthetic or natural, when we're off balance and when we add them and take them away from our lives.
Right.
Diet, hydration, all things like that. And nobody knows the cure, or we'd all be running around with Fabio hair, or that's an older reference. Yeah. But we'd all be running around with thick hair. So what we have found, and then all of a sudden COVID happened. So within women, around menopause is when the hair loss happens. And men have it starting a little bit earlier, and then usually it hits them a little bit later. And so women suffer from it as well. So there are things you can use topically to help. There's the Rogaine. There's the minoxidil Rogaine. There's the stuff that's out. There are the vitamins that are out. All of that you can do. But in the meantime, we're losing our hair and we're seeing our scalps, and people are pissed about it. So that's where we come in. I personally went and got some education down in Dallas with a company called NSG, and I learned how to do toupees. They're now called hair systems, but the word toupee they are just not your grandpa's toupee. These hair pieces are so beautifully matched, and they are made with the most beautiful human hair that is actually from the West. Okay. So it feels more like our hair. We now have access to all sorts of textured of hair. I have gentlemen that I can do. We talk about curl a little differently now. We talk about it in letters and numbers to talk about how dense the hair is and how curly it can be. So I have all sorts of access to different types of hair, different densities of hair, and I can now replace where hair loss has taken its toll.
Yeah.
Men and women, and they are brilliant. They are literally undetectable.
Yeah, I've seen some of the videos that you've shared. They're totally undetectable.
Yeah, we've got information up on our website, and I actually have, I have 5 guests out with them right now, and they do need maintenance. But once a person is fitted with a system, they can run, they can work out, they can shower, they can swim, they wash it, they blow dry it. They style it, they shampoo it. It is on their heads. And so it is extremely livable. Even right here in Oklahoma, there's some small maintenances, just like anyone that has extensions in their hair. There are small maintenances that we teach you how to maintain it on your own when little things happen. But I can tell you that one of my clients, you have to have the system itself maintained once a month. He was a week late on his maintenance, drove up in a convertible with the top down, and he was completely in place. So that's a lot to be said.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
For sure.
So, and then we also, this education was marketed to men because this is a space that men can finally have a chance to increase their confidence if they want it. to maybe feel a little bit better, to maybe feel on the outside like they feel on the inside, especially with so many people taking care of themselves physically. Sometimes you want a head of hair to match. And I mean, we've been able to do it for years. I mean, why shouldn't this market be available? If I could call them man extensions, I would.
Yeah.
Because that is all it is. And we see them on TV and all of that all the time. I can even customize pieces to where somebody is just losing the recession area. We can fill those in. It doesn't even have to be a whole piece. So it's so versatile. And I currently have a woman out. Let me tell you her story real quick. She was a cancer survivor, but they did a process on her called cold capping, which is actually supposed to help encourage the hair to hold on. But with her, it did the complete opposite. It completely ruined all of her follicles and all of her hair, all up in this top region. So she's been growing her hair long and wearing it up on top of her head in a bun to cover this bare spot. I was able to set a system. My systems come long and we cut them. I was able to place her in a system that lays over the rest of her hair.
Nice.
So, and she sees me once a month, and she's from the southern part of the state. So she's researched it and found us in Oklahoma City, and we were able to really take care of her.
That's awesome.
And then we have another stylist that does a more temporary version of what I offer. Mine is something that takes a clean scalp area. Even if you have a little bit of hair left, we usually get rid of it, and then we set you with this new system. We also offer one that if you do have hair up on top, but it's just very, very thin, we also have a topper that we can weave into your hair, and it can stay on for 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then it comes off and can be replaced too.
That's awesome.
So we have a bunch of information up on our website, and I'm super proud of it. And then with that said, we also have a team of hairstylists that are really educated on scalp care, and our new line really can, if you come in with a condition, we can address it in multiple ways. Whether we can help with something topically, aesthetically, or we can also give you out references to hair transplants, all sorts of med spa treatments that they're doing out in those businesses that usually require a physician.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of information whichever way you want to navigate.
Yeah. I get on my Instagram feed a lot of advertisements for those hair transplants, but they send you all to India, I think.
Turkey.
Okay, yeah.
Turkey is, yep. Yeah. Turkey is doing the hair transplants. They are, from what I hear, they're offering 2 to 3 times the amount that you should really get. So a hair transplant is really traumatizing, as in any invasive surgery. They graft hair from the back and move it to the front. And that's trauma on the body. And so, of course, the physicians are limited and recommend that this is what we do today to make sure you're okay. But Turkey has doubled down, man. They're doing 3 times as much, and they're sending you home with, they're sending you home with a bob. They're sending you home with a thick bob.
That's crazy.
I know, and I haven't
crazy.
met anyone. I have clients, and I know who you are. I have clients that are threatening to go to Turkey to get one.
Okay.
So we'll see if they do, but I worry for them.
Yeah, I see it a lot. I mean, they are definitely marketing toward people in the United States for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, MK Willow Co.
MK Willow Co. Willow and Company Salon. We are at 50th and Shartel.
Okay.
We also have our Instagram and our Facebook.
All right.
So I appreciate you, Jameson.
Thank you so much.
So proud of you.
Well, I'm glad we got to do it. I mean, you were one of the first ones that I thought of that I want to do this with. So here we are.
We could talk about. I mean, I have stories about drinking beer at your house out on the dirt road. I mean, we could do another.
Yeah, we could. Gosh.
All right.
That's what happens when you got history.
I know.
All right.